NBA Finals after 16 seasons in the league. Ooh, good for you, CP3. Capped off the Western Conference Finals with a career playoff high 41 points, but he has not done it alone. His backcourt partner, Devin Booker, averaging more than 27 points per game in the playoffs. Joined by Slick Rick Dubuque, NBA analyst. But, Marcellus, you up first.
Yeah.
Who should get more credit for the Suns' success? Is it CP3 or Devin Booker?
Oh, you know it's Devin Booker. We got to give it to the better player of the two, and it's Devin Booker. Didn't CP3 join the Phoenix Suns to play with Devin Booker? I think CP3, through his actions, already told you who we should give the credit to. As great as CP3 is, future Hall of Famer, all of that, he's now in chase mode in terms of he's connecting with other stars, younger stars, we get it, versus the alternative where they're trying to connect with CP3. Suns are 10-2 this postseason when Devin Booker scores 20-plus points, which includes 2 wins when CP3 didn't even play. Uh-oh. Y'all remember those games? Yeah, I do. They were against my Clippers. All right. And I love me some CP3. Y'all know that, but I do my job. I love that more. They started off the playoffs this year with CP3 in 5 of the first 6 games, less than 10 points. So, you know what drives this situation for the Phoenix Suns in terms of ball movement, turnovers, points per game, field goal percentage? All of those things were spiking even in CP3's absence because Devin Booker was still on the court. With the mask, without the mask, whatever it was, Devin Booker was the centerpiece of this team and the driving force. So in this conversation, it's pretty simple. CP3 told us as soon as he joined the Phoenix Suns, it's about Devin Booker.
So I like your take, and you are correct. CP3 did want to go team up with Book, although Book was ecstatic to see him there.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The reason it is CP3 and the reason CP3 is more reason for the Suns' success is very simple. If you're ever looking to prove something, particularly in court but also in life, you want to look at someone's track record. Right, in court, they'll try to prove your credibility. If I can prove that Slick Rick once stole a piece of bubble gum from a grocery store, then Slick Rick is a person who just committed grand theft. Because I'm looking at his track record. If you look at CP3's track record, what is his track record when he shows up on the scene to a new team? He always instantly makes that new team better. We took at the CP3 effect. The Hornets before CP3, they improved by 20% win percentage. The Clippers, they improved. The Rockets, they improved win percentage. The Thunder, they improved their win percentage. And obviously the Phoenix Suns. If we ignore what he did with the Suns, CP3's track record shows us everywhere he shows up, the team instantly improves. We don't have to look far, and we don't have to search very long to understand CP3 always does this. Now, if we look exclusively at the Suns, Booker was there last year. We look at the Suns. Bridges was there last year. We look at the Suns. Ayton was there last year. So unless we want to attribute the major success to our dog 3&D Crowder, then CP3 has to be the reason the Suns have gotten so successful.
I'd almost go off the board because Acho's argument is so convincing and goes along with what I believe that I want to say Monty Williams or DeAndre Ayton just to make this interesting, because otherwise, once again, our man Sellis might get crushed here. Look, and I'm not going to go to last year. I'm not going to go to the fact that they never had any success, never even made the playoffs until Chris Paul showed up in town. Regardless of what drew him there, the fact of the matter is he saw that he had the pieces in order to orchestrate to do something special. That was the attraction. But if I just look at what has occurred in this series and in the playoffs overall, it is Chris Paul without question. Chris Paul is actually shooting a higher field goal percentage than Devin Booker. He is shooting a higher, and this may surprise you, 3-point percentage in the playoffs than Devin Booker. The one thing that Devin Booker does for this team is he scores. And yet he had 4 games where he shot less than 40% in this series and 3 games in which he shot 15% or worse from 3-point range. That is his primary goal, talent, contribution for the Phoenix Suns. Yes, Chris Paul has had some off-shooting nights. Yes, he missed the first 2 games. But he has consistently, in this series and throughout the playoffs, been what you asked him to be, which is your playmaker and an efficient one. 4-to-1 assist-turnover ratio in this series, 5.5-to-1 assist-turnover ratio in the playoffs overall. So when I look at what the two contribute, and getting back to my original point, like I don't believe it's just one guy that deserves credit. Monty Williams deserves credit. DeAndre Ayton deserves credit. There's been a lot of contributions. But if I look at who's at the top of the chain, it has to be Chris Paul.
Oh, man, look, I don't want to rob Chris Paul of his credit as well because it's immense. I don't want to go there, but just to have this binary discussion, I'm siding with Devin Booker. And to get over the hump, as you guys keep focusing in on, you got to get to the hump. And this team got to the hump before Chris Paul even joined this team. Don't forget, in the bubble last year, this team going 8-0, part of the reason why Chris Paul wanted to join forces with all this young talent, especially Devin Booker, is because he realized what this team was. I don't know. Let me see Acho's face, too.
Is this the same bubble that you're always cracking on with the asterisk? I just want to make sure we're talking about the same bubble.
I'm talking Lakers.
You're taking their 8-0 in the bubble, and now it's meaningful, whereas before with the Lakers, it wasn't so meaningful. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Well, it's meaningful for the Lakers, but it's more meaningful for a team that's trying to build something. And that's why I want to see all your faces here. I am not trying to high side right now. I'm not trying to express my affluence. But if you've ever built a house before from scratch, from the plans and from the ground, the studs up,
and a custom pool. Don't forget the custom pool.
Oh, you got to have a custom pool with your name at the bottom. That dude, I was on Cribs. Here's the thing. You got to focus in on the lumber. But y'all want to just focus in on the finishes. Now, everybody can come in and say, oh, I like this tile right here. Oh, I like that sink. Okay, that's cute. But you know what built this foundation is the boring parts. As I always tell people, everybody want to go to the parade, but nobody wants to build the floats. And this is a situation where Devin Booker was there, hammer, nails, building the float, while DeAndre Ayton was taking his time to become a great player. Now they're here. We add the finishes, which is Chris Paul, nice sink, and then everybody's like, look at this house, forgetting about all the work they put in before. Let's talk about Devin Booker right now, because he got some finishes too, some nice ones as well. Devin Booker is 4th all-time in postseason history in this first time in terms of points per game scored. Think about that. We're talking about Rick Barry. We're talking about Dr. J. Devin Booker, 4th all-time. So not only is this his first time there, he is showing up and showing out. So when you look at this situation, you can't talk about just track records with CP3, because that's a positive and that's also a negative. In that same race that you're talking about, Acho, CP3's involved, there's been some pool hammies. There's been some corona. There's been some wrist injuries. There's been times where he hasn't been there and his team had to still advance, continue to build, continue to hammer those nails in that wood, that lumber. So that's why I say I slightly side with Devin Booker, because he was there building the foundation.
But, Sel, beyond the foundation, you know it really comes down to the studs and the nails, right? Like, it don't matter if you got all the logs in the way.
Booker's a stud.
Chris Paul is really the thing that's putting everything together, because that's what the studs and that's what the nails do. I'm not going to say that Devin Booker, Ayton, Monty Williams, Mikal Bridges, I'm not going to say that they are not the foundational pieces as far as the wood, the brick, the mortar, etc. But you can't put nothing together without no studs and no nails. Look at Chris Paul. He is the added piece of chemistry and the added piece of leadership. Go back 2011. Remember, you realize talent alone don't win you a chip. Let's talk NFL real quick. Eagles, remember they had the dream team. Andy Asamoah, Mike Vick, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy. Vince Young gets on the squad, says they're going to be a dream team. I believe they went 4-12 that year. Lakers, you understand how much talent they had the 03-04 season. Shaq, Kobe, plus Peyton, plus Karl Malone. 4 future first ballot, bona fide Hall of Famers. They lost to the Pistons, not because the Pistons were more talented. The Pistons had leadership and they had chemistry. Meanwhile, the Lakers had a whole bunch of talent, but a whole bunch of rifts between Kobe and Shaq, between Kobe and Karl Malone. Karl Malone, weird dude. Anyway, with all that being said, chemistry, leadership, that's what CP3 brings.
Yeah, the other element here is when we're talking about their success, we're really talking about the fact that they are in the NBA Finals, right? A new level of success for the Suns. And who ultimately got them there in that Game 6? It was a tremendous performance by Chris Paul. And on the other hand, what did we get from Devin Booker in that game? He was not a major factor in that game, did not shoot well. Chris Paul emotionally and in every way was the leader that took them that final step to the finals. Now, I appreciate this about Devin Booker, and I'm surprised you didn't bring it up, Marcellus, because he has been dealing with the broken nose, playing with and without the mask, and that, without question, has affected his shooting and his floor vision overall. And what I appreciate is that he's continued to play and continued to try to be aggressive in spite of that, in spite of getting knocked a couple times in that nose, not wearing a mask, and still continue. To see your talented finesse player showing that kind of toughness goes in that intangible category that is meaningful for where this team has gone. But Chris Paul has always demonstrated that.